Hello and welcome to our video contemplation of day signature 55. This frequency corresponds to the Queen of Hearts, the prime instinct to polarize, and the noble role of enjoyment.
Yeah.
It is represented by the angels of revelation and freedom.
So we have the 33rd angel of revelation, who walks the pathway of reflection to become the embodiment of reverence. And then we have the 55th angel of freedom, who walks the pathway of spirit to become the embodiment of luxury.
Oh man, this is another one of those where I feel the weight and significance of this moment in my body.
Yeah, it's like
in my breath.
We're at the center of it all.
We are. And that will actually, what you just said, will make more and more sense, I believe, to you, the viewer, as we continue unraveling what this day has revealed to us. I would argue that this is the most significant conversation we've had up until this point. Every one of them is important. Every one of them is awakening something of equal importance within us. But what we're sensing here is literally pivotal. And that's not just about the words or the themes necessarily. That is about what's happening now, today. The placement of this frequency on this day, in this month, we've mentioned it in the lead up to today, but it's extremely significant. This is not only the day signature for this day of November 1st, 2024, it's also the month signature for the entire month of November in this year, 2024.
Right.
So we're dealing with another major vortex day where the day signature and the month signature overlap on the very first day of that month. We've not seen this before. We're not going to see it again for a very long time. I've mentioned this too, but we've actually looked for these vortex days going back a year, going forward into 2025, all the way to the end of 2025. We've never seen anything like this in either direction. It's a really significant moment that we get to encounter in real life now.
Yeah.
We're so excited to be here and so excited to share what we're noticing already with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So not only is this a collective vortex day, but this frequency 55, the Queen of Hearts, this position in the sequence is really important to the whole sequence. It's actually the center.
We didn't even know that until this morning.
Yeah.
We hadn't recognized it until this morning. But in our preparation for this conversation, for this moment, we couldn't help but sense, actually, the previous two sets of virtues behind us. The full set of sword virtues, the full set of wand virtues behind us, and two full sets of virtues before us as the Queen of Hearts initiates us to the world of the hearts, and the world of the diamonds follows that. So this very card, this member of our Liberated Tarot, actually holds the center point of the entire movement. If we break it down just a little more technically, some of you may notice that the first 22 cards of the Liberated Tarot as a whole are primes, the 22 primes. In our minds, we're separating these out from the movement, the sequence that we have been working through here in the sets of virtues: swords, wands, now hearts, and soon to come diamonds. When we do this, there are a total of 64 members in those four sets of virtues. This Queen of Hearts sits at the very center of those 64 members. She is initiating us to something. We have effectively integrated two full sets of virtues, all of the skills that were adapted and personified in the swords, all of the movement, all the decisions, all of the activity, all of the life that we met and lived in the wands. And now we arrive at something altogether new, the life of the heart. So yes, this is a center point. The center point of the tarot is representative, of course, of the center point of you. That's what this queen initiates us to, our own individual centers.
Yes. And she's also highlighting this prime instinct to polarize, which is sort of a hinge point where we make this final decision to polarize. And I think you could probably elaborate a little bit on what we mean by this word polarize, because it's not becoming polarized or divided. It is a very conscious decision to direct our being, our energy into a particular direction.
To polarize is to become complete in one direction or another. What we have done, I think, historically as modern humans, is we've learned to attempt to walk two paths with one foot in each path, which makes perfect sense if the paths are parallel. But as we've learned, the paths we're dealing with here are the path of worry on the one hand, or the path of wonder on the other hand. These paths never converge and they are not parallel. They are like this, which means that if you're attempting to walk with one foot in the path of worry and one foot in the path of wonder, you will fail. You will never fully devote yourself in one direction or another. Polarization, in this case, what this prime instinct represents, is a willingness to commit your complete self in one direction or another. The whole one foot in either path thing is what the Bible refers to as being lukewarm. The idea is, if you are lukewarm, I think I'd have to go back and find it, but in that context, it was like Jesus or God literally saying, if you're lukewarm, I will spit you out of my mouth. It's like very harsh, almost like yuck. There's nothing alive about stagnation, about the choice to not choose. The idea here is, and what we meet not only today in this day signature, but this month in particular, is this prime instinct to polarize, which means choose.
Yeah.
You get to choose, therefore you must choose. To choose to not choose is a choice, and it equates to a living death because you are neither one thing nor another.
It's indifference.
It's apathy. It's stagnation. It disallows movement. You vacillate between wonder and worry, between praise and complaint, never ever moving because you have not chosen to be one thing or another. What's clear to me and to all of us viewing this is that, of course, you want to choose wonder. Of course, you want to choose celebration. Of course, you want to choose that which is delicious and exciting and enjoyable and lovely.
Yeah.
So the question as to which direction we're going to polarize in is pretty obvious. This isn't a battle between good and evil. It's the question of how willing you are to devote yourself to what you ultimately understand to be most true, or most fulfilling, or most obvious.
Most enjoyable.
Or most enjoyable, yes. What's interesting to me about this prime instinct to polarize, many things are, is it's directly connected to the 11th prime, which is the sword, which is the sword of light, which is, in fact, the angel of light, the 11th angel. So this prime instinct to polarize is connecting as a hub here at the center of the entire tarot sequence to something that I firmly believe to be the kind of underpinning aura of the liberated tarot as a tool, as a resource, as an opportunity to remember ourselves. The angel of light walks the pathway of the seer to become the embodiment of angelhood. Why do you think it is that we go on and on about light, love, truth, these things which are all synonymous? Why do you think it is that we have extended this opportunity to join us in seer training? It's because that is the path that becomes the embodiment of angelhood. We're already the angels. The 64 angels that we're referring to here all exist within us. We are the ones meant to be the things that we're hoping for someone else to be. We're not waiting for the Messiah. We're remembering that each one of us is the Messiah. And that might sound so large. It is not. It's not even scratching the surface of what you deserve to hear, you deserve to understand, and most significantly, you deserve to internalize and become, to remember.
Yeah.
So this 11th prime, 11th angel, this instinct to polarize, and where are we now? Day 1 of the 11th month?
Yeah, it is a really potent theme.
You can't make that up.
The entire month. And this day, it's all culminating on this very first day to make it known that this is the time
Yes.
to polarize. Even this 55th frequency, this frequency of 55, is highlighting this topic of polarization. Actually, we've got several words that match this frequency of 55. One of the words is polarize. That is a frequency match. You also have, that? Yeah, I know, it's perfect. You also have final decision, resolve, which is this, it's a synonym, and direct force.
Resolve is the pathway that the angel of decision walks.
Yep.
You see how all of this feeds into this day like a funnel? That's what we're feeling. We're feeling this point of convergence wherein all of the angel themes are just kind of like dense at this center point. We talked about the angel of gravity, how it feels like this core of potential. It's so dense.
Yeah.
We're in it now.
Right.
That's what this moment is. And what is it affording? It's affording us to awaken the life of the heart. We jumped into the prime instinct even sooner than I expected to. Yeah. I want to rewind. I want to talk for a moment about the way that these 4 sets of virtues move in the Liberated Tarot, because this is new to us. It's going to be new to you because it's never existed before and we're only just being shown it.
Yeah.
So we'll share it here in this context. I'm sure it will come up many other times, but it's going to help us understand what it is that we're opening to, what kind of a world we're opening to. In the swords, the first sequence that we met, in the set of virtues that we call swords, we were dealing with the mind, how we make use of our mental power. This was an internal application of ourselves. It was about the mind. No one else gets access to that. That's all you, and it's all internal, right? The wands, of course, now expressed a lot of what we had built in that inner world externally. So inner world in the swords, outer world in the wands, as we take real steps in our real lives, in our everyday experiences, to enact what we've discovered on the inside. So there was inside, then outside. Here in the hearts, we return again to the inside, but in a new place, on a new level. Where before it was the inner world of the mind, now it's the inner world of the heart. Where before it was a focus on thinking and how we make use of our capacity to think, now we meet the world of feeling, and the question becomes, how effectively are we making use of our capacity to feel? We're back inside again, and without going too far into the future here, the diamonds, of course, will externalize again. Everything that we produce now in the inner world of the heart, which is, of course, being unified with the inner world of the mind, as everything up until this point is integrated to this massive point of power, this literal great and shining sun that is you. All of this will externalize now, not as action or behavior, but as actual experiences you get to meet and encounter directly in real life. This is what we have previously referred to as manifestation. What you're seeing here is that the ideas of manifestation have always been terribly flimsy in comparison to what's truly happening. They've also been more effortful than they needed to be. Over and over again, we're shown what to do. And it could not be more simple. It could not be more explicit, more direct, or more accessible.
Right.
One thing to do. Enjoy.
We're choosing to, the question I can imagine several people wondering to themselves is, okay, prime instinct, polarize, we're making a choice, but what are we choosing? We're choosing enjoyment. That is it. That is the thing that we're choosing. The
purpose of life is enjoyment. That's what we're told. How do we connect that to the day? It's the noble role of enjoyment. This Queen of Hearts, this world of the heart begins here.
Yes.
This whole heart's sequence, it's all hinging on our willingness to fulfill the noble role of enjoyment. Consider that enjoyment is a noble role. It's not a heart virtue. It's not something you're doing. It is the very first and most significant thing you can do. The whole kingdom hinges on the Queen's capacity, in this case, to permit her own enjoyment.
Right.
The Queen, of course, is a metaphor. It's a symbol, and it's a symbol for you.
Right. Then, and our actual keynote for the Queen is power, which you mentioned. You mentioned that center of power.
Yeah, that's why you were smiling like that?
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on it. I saw you smiling though. Mm. That's what we're working with today. These are major themes. They are repetitive themes. They're not new. These words you've heard from us every time we've met with you. Mm-hmm. But what's happening is each time we meet, those words are going deeper. They began as ideas, and they began as really good ideas that we chose to do something with in the wands. Now, all of this movement and activity that has led us to this very day, this very month, in this very year, none of it is arbitrary. All of it is on purpose. Not one word or sentence is random. It's all on purpose. It's all led us to this home base, this beginning point of a whole new chapter. Mm-hmm. I've told you before in this context that the beginning of anyone's journey is a return journey. Mm-hmm. What we're returning to is a memory of ourselves. We're returning to ourselves. We're regathering, recovering all of this energy we've given away indiscriminately, and we're choosing to reclaim it and spend it on purpose, to invest it in those directions that have our whole heart. This is polarization. Mm-hmm. This is what it means to become complete in one direction. And this is what it means to come home.
Yes. Yes.
There are yet more phrases that resonate to the exact frequency of 55 that we can't help but notice here. Mm-hmm. Do you have any of them? Yeah, you've got one right now.
They're all here. So again, I mean, with this Queen of Hearts being the center of the tarot, these words also match this frequency of 55. So we have core reality, the whole, welcome home, force of all life, gatekeeper, guardian, and oversoul. So you can kind of get a sense for this, what we were talking about here, this coming home to yourself, coming home to the center, and it being this home within you that is where it all begins. Even though we're in the center of the sequence, this is kind of also home base.
It's representative of the center of you.
Yeah.
So, first and foremost, welcome home. There is no better place from which to move. You only ever find home, you only ever return once you've made that final decision. Once you've committed yourself completely to that larger life, to that home of yourself, to the expression of your own unique story. That's where we find ourselves today. It's a massive moment. And this is just the beginning. Mm-hmm. These are just the major themes on the surface of what we found. When we turn to the angels, when we look at the 33rd angel and the 55th angel, there's so much happening. Mm-hmm. And so what we want to be able to do is, as usual, discuss what that is. Yeah. If you are viewing this and you have our website up and you're already looking maybe at what these angel themes are, we've shared them at the beginning of this conversation. You're going to start to connect dots already, I'm sure. For us, when we look at the 55, instantly we go to freedom. We know that the 55 is a visual or numerical representative of the theme of freedom, complete freedom, capital F, freedom. So we're very excited to see that. We're very excited to see how the 55, the 33, the 11, these are all master numbers. This day is shrouded in master numbers, and the month itself remains for the whole length of this month shrouded in master numbers. What does this mean? It means that whatever those numbers communicate come with an extra punch. They carry an extra punch or power that you cannot help but feel and be moved by. These are transformative frequencies meant to transform. All of that is happening today twice over as these frequencies overlap, and all of these things will continue to break us open to the larger life we deserve every single day of this month. They're going to continue to open us. That's what transformation is. It's an opening. It's not a breakdown. It's a breaking open, but it is a breaking and it is an opening. These cocoons that we've snuggled up in for so long, it is absolutely time for them to burst open and reveal the magic they've been holding.
Mm-hmm.
That's a part of what this inner world of the hearts is going to prepare us for. It's going to prepare an inner environment that produces the actual form of that larger life.
Yeah.
In real life,
mm-hmm.
not in theory, not in your manifestation journal or on your manifestation board, but as a real life encounter of the very thing you've begun to imagine. Of course, what we know is that the world of the diamonds blows away all of your expectations, and as large as you've been able to imagine, you're going to meet more, and you're going to be surprised by better than you ever could have imagined. We know what's coming because we've lived this. Mm-hmm. You probably also know what's coming because whether you are totally aware of it or not, you've also lived this. We're meant to thrive, and we're being called to that. Before we're called out to it, we're called into it. That's what the world of the hearts, that's what this set of virtues, the entire sequence is about. And again, it's all hinging on our willingness to permit enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
So let's riff on the angels for a moment, and then let's show some of these other more subtle connections that totally surprise us today, because I think it's worth taking a little time to open a window into our world.
Mm-hmm.
You've sat with us maybe day after day now for some time, watching how we weave a narrative around the words.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably a good time at this point to begin to reveal how much more magical this is than even just the words, how our life speaks to us through all these different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to show you at least a piece of what that looks like for us.
Yeah.
But first, let's just talk about the angels.
Yeah.
33rd angel of Revelation walks the pathway of reflection to become the embodiment of reverence.
Mm-hmm.
55th angel of freedom walks the pathway of spirit to become the embodiment of luxury itself.
Mm-hmm.
What are you picking up on right out the gate? Anything jumping out at you?
Well, for sure. I mean, this embodiment of reverence, what we met yesterday was this understanding that, when we walk this pathway of pleasure, we become the embodiment of fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And it's not something that we've ever truly expected. Everything that we come to understand about life is, in the beginning, is that it's hard, or that we're stuck, or all of these limitations that are piled on us. We come to understand eventually and have this revelatory moment that none of that is the truth. And life totally surprises us and delivers us the best of the best. And that's why this embodiment of reverence is so perfect, because what other choice do you have than to just be in awe of that beautiful revelation?
That's right. Life isn't out to get us. All this time it's been out to benefit us. Mm-hmm. We didn't know.
Yeah. And of course, this pathway of reflection, we're making those connections ourselves by moving through life step by step and seeing it. We're seeing it in the mirror. Like this reflection is, this world around us is a mirror for us to see it for ourselves.
Great.
And then, so that's what I see in this 33rd angel to start. I mean, don't get me started on the 55. But
we will. We will get you started on the 55. But so we actually hadn't even talked about this together. There's so much that's been happening. We hadn't rehearsed this in any way. That was brilliant. Yes, to all of it. I can't help but draw that connection from reverence to worship. You brought it into fulfillment, which was one of yesterday's angels, the 54th. It also connects to the 32nd angel. We spent all this time yesterday talking about what, up until yesterday, felt like the single most important conversation we'd ever had about preservation, endorsement, and worship, and the embodiment of worship and what that meant. Of course, we meet reverence here today. Reverence, worship, devotion, these are all the same thing. And we are called to a life of such reverent embodiment, not reverent pretension. We're not pretending reverence. We're not attempting to look holy. There's nothing about this that is performative. This is written into our movement. This is in our bones. How can you help but be reverent? How can you not drop to your knees in just sheer wonder as you marvel at the miracle that is the fact that you're watching this right now, that your eyes are open, that your body is breathing, that you woke up to this new day. Mm-hmm. Isn't a new sun a 55?
Yes, that's another frequency match word.
We take everything for granted. And the most apparently simple things that are easiest to take for granted, that's where all the greatest magic is. Do you realize that? Do you realize that your heart beats itself, your body breathes itself, every bite of food becomes everything your body needs, and you've had no control over any of that, even for a moment, the entire time? It's all happening for you. Do you realize the support system that is built into your own body, not to mention the world that surrounds it? We are so cared for. We could not be more cared for. The only ones who have been blind to it, it's us. We've been blind to it because we haven't been shown. But in each of these conversations, over and over again, we're going to show you. We will never stop showing you until your eyes snap open for themselves in such a way that you can't help but see it around you. And then you're going to do the same thing we're doing for all of the people in your circle of influence. And they're going to tell you that you're being too positive. And you're going to say, wait and see, this isn't even the beginning of what's available. The magic is alive. The magic is real. That was another one, right? Magic is real.
I know. Your name and all.
Not even on purpose. It's just happening.
Yeah. Magic is real. A new sun and, I believe, sunrise, which you were just talking about, breaking up to the new day.
There we are.
Yep. Beautiful.
So reverence is inevitable. If you are paying any amount of attention, you have got to begin feeling that reverence. Of course, we meet a word like reverence here. This reflection, this pathway of reflection, the way Laura just described it is brilliant. This isn't sitting quietly in the corner of a room in some, fluffy easy chair with your eyes closed, reflecting on the day. This is about realizing that your outer world is reflective of an inner reality and that you are the one responsible for producing that inner reality at whatever quality level that may be. If the quality is oriented toward worry and complaint and smallness and anxiety and fear, that's what you're going to see reflected. If it's love and wonder and joy and excitement and growth, that's what you're going to witness as a reflection. The pathway of reflection obviously includes your ability and willingness to observe, to pay attention. So in that regard, yes, you reflect on it. But what it really means is that you become engaged in that process, that you allow the reflection to mean something so that you can become a participant in producing the more that life is always giving you.
Yes.
You become a participant. That's what this is about. And it's a life of the heart. So all of this reflection, all of this awareness, all of this new vision is now permitting the blossoming of the heart, of the feeling. That's what reverence is. That's what the embodiment of reverence is. It overcomes you. You can't help but marvel. You can't help but be in awe. And so you become the living embodiment of reverence. Do you know what a perfect example of reverence is? Basically any child. Right?
Yeah.
They walk around with this sense of wow, unless it's been beaten out of them early on, which it tends, unfortunately, to be. If you catch a child in that sweet spot where they have not yet been overwritten by adult fears, that kid is just in awe of the fact that this world exists around them. Everything is amazing. It still is. The fact that you've got a few wimpy years under your belt, it does not disconnect you from the reality that has pre-existed you and continues to exist beneath your feet. We have an opportunity here. We have a responsibility here to remove the veil of lies that has kept us apparently apart from the reality, to wipe that slate clean of all the clouds and to let the pure light of life shine through and to see the miracle and the magic for what it is. Reverence is inevitable.
Yeah, I mean, the angels have been pretty specific. It's very simple. All the angels have said the basis of life is enjoyment, and anything that concerns you is not true.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Everything that lights you up is connecting you to what is true.
That's right. Directly connecting you, guiding you, calling you home. Desire is the siren song of home. The very thing that we were so quick to diminish is the very thing that has remained and will always remain central to that return journey, central to this process we are describing today. Yeah. So, freedom. That's right, baby. The angel of freedom. We know what freedom is. We know freedom as something we yearn for. Today, we are celebrating freedom. What that means is that we're no longer recognizing it as something to long for. We are remembering it as the living reality it is. We are recognizing our place in a world of freedom, and we are remembering that to be free means to be completely responsible.
And to recognize that we have a choice. Like,
yes,
nothing can take away
that's right.
Our ability to choose. That is freedom. There's
your angel of decision, who walks the pathway of resolve, which we've already met, to become the embodiment of sovereignty, freedom. This final decision that this day literally hums at the frequency of, this final decision we're speaking to here, it is the difference between encountering a life that completely absorbs you in its beauty or not. This is about living life on the surface or living life in the depths of richness, not the depths of terror, the depths of richness, of feeling, of life, of vitality. This is the difference between surviving and thriving. We're not meant to hover around on the surface. We are meant to put deep, deep roots down into this soil of support, this soil of inspiration, this rich, fertile soil of life that is constantly producing more life through anything willing to put its roots down into it. Like, this is what we're called to. So this angel of freedom walks the pathway of spirit. What does that mean? We didn't know initially. We swapped out a bunch of different words here and even changed it for like a day before having to just acquiesce to the awareness that spirit is the right word.
Yes.
It's easy to go large with a word like spirit. It's easy to kind of like shoot into the stratosphere of like, it must be referring to the great spirit, to spirit as equivalent to life, right? And that's not wrong necessarily, but that's not really what we're sensing in the pathway here. The pathway of spirit is the pathway of feeling. It's the pathway of heart. It's the pathway of connecting to the essence of everything around you. And it's the very thing required in order to stop taking all of those things for granted. Because it's not until you realize that everything means something, that every last item, every last happenstance in your experience is literally speaking to you. It's not until you start to realize that there is a conversation happening that you even become capable in any way of interpreting the messages. How are you going to interpret messages if you don't know their messages? If you think that a license plate is just a license plate, or an unexpected message or phone call from a friend is just that, it's all speaking. So the pathway of spirit is recognizing that inherent to everything is meaning. Inherent to everything is a method of communication. Yeah. It's realizing you're in dialogue with life, and that dialogue is not mental. Yes, it will use your mental capacity to begin to interpret these signals in very specific and productive ways, but your capacity to harness an awareness of that inner life around you, it begins on the realm of this inner life within you. It begins within you. That's the world of the hearts. Another word for spirit is heart. This is the pathway of heart. You don't get to meet your life halfway. You don't get to meet it with just the mind, and you don't get to meet it with half a heart. You meet your life with your whole mind, whole heart, whole body, whole being unified in one direction, knowing absolutely what the truth is, knowing absolutely that you are in fact a generator of light and life that is meant to reach out and touch and to expand not only you, not only your life, but the life of everyone around you and the life of the universe itself. Once you recognize this, you begin to walk the pathway of spirit as your whole self meets life in a meaningful way and in a way that infuses everything with meaning. Isn't that wild? This is awesome. So what is complete freedom? Complete freedom is to be whole, and to meet life in a very holistic fashion, to receive from life everything you deserve from life.
Yeah, and that is the true luxury.
That is the luxury.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this embodiment of luxury is, we immediately want to, put that sort of a embodiment in the realm of like the diamonds, something that
we
would experience, or is a more physical thing. But this true luxury is about everything we're just talking about here. It's that freedom. It is that realization of your part to play in this whole dance.
No one in the world has the power to touch this inner world of the heart that is yours unless you permit it. It is all yours. It is complete freedom. This embodiment of luxury is about literally ingesting the feeling of luxury long in advance of some external experience of that luxury.
Yes.
The promise is that as you permit this to happen, as you allow your inner life to become more real and more significant than the outer world, your outer world will transform itself to resonate with, to match, to reflect.
Yeah, I was just going to say reflect.
You saw it coming.
Yeah.
Before I did. The reality you've cultivated inside. So we don't meet this idea of luxury in the diamonds, we meet it in the hearts. Because if we ever want a whiff of a chance at experiencing it directly in the diamonds, we have to start here. You could experience a taste of luxury in the diamonds perhaps without this happening in a completely unsustainable way. Sure. There are any number of ways that could play out. But if you want to produce a life on the ground of luxury, if you actually want to experience that, not as a taste, but as a sustaining contributor to your experience, if you want luxury with a capital L, you have to begin here. And the wild thing is that tends to bend everyone's brain a little bit. You don't get it outside of you until you first have it inside of you, which means that you are called to utilize everything you've learned up until this point, because some part of you has to be such an effective seer of the deeper reality, of the greater truth, of your own largeness, that while staring at a bank account with $3.94 in it, you are encountering luxury internally. That while looking at a personal world that maybe doesn't include a partnership as lucky as mine, you're aware of the fact that a soulmate exists for you, that somewhere in this world is a heart with your name written on it. You may not have met them yet, but they're waiting. These are great big ideas to hold, and they feel, based on our previous experiences and our upbringing, they can feel quite irresponsible to hold on to in spite of the apparent reality. But what we know and what we've been shown and what we have now lived and proven over and over again for ourselves, and what we can simply share with you in words from that base of experience, is that if we will be willing to hold that reality so close within ourselves that it feels more real inside of us than whatever may be happening momentarily outside of us, that temporary shifting of circumstances and opportunity and people and financial flow that is outside of us now will continue to do what it's always done. It will move. It will change. And it's not random. It's changing in response to you, to the world you cultivate inside. This moment, this queen, she is calling you to be the queen or the king, the royal, the noble, the large being, the owner of the kingdom that you are. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom is within you.
Yeah.
You do not get to hold onto that reality as a living and sustaining reality outside of you until you produce it inside of you. And so you use the sword virtues. You become the seer. You begin to make new decisions. You move through life in a different way. You stand tall even when you're terrified. You walk with poise even when you feel clumsy. You train yourself into the memory of the truth, which is the same as saying you peel away the scales of distraction that have been, copy and pasted onto you your whole life. And you discover under all of that, this beating heart, this living, thriving reality, this core reality, it's one of our words today, that awaits you, has been awaiting you, ultimately just waits to be recognized and permitted to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what the Queen of Hearts is doing. That's what these angels are reminding us of. You can feel the ways that they connect. It's powerful, and it is real freedom. That freedom is in you, not outside of you. It will become a part of your outer experience, but not yet.
Right.
It starts here. I say not yet. It's quick once you connect to it. It could be a second later that marvelous things begin to happen. As quickly as you're willing to get out of your own way, life happens. That's a guarantee every time. But we're obviously meeting it in a pretty specific kind of stream of lessons here. So for now, recognize the part you're meeting today. Are you willing to permit yourself to enjoy, to literally feel good for once?
Yeah.
That's what enjoyment is in the world of the hearts. There's no way to make this any less childish, simple than it is. We don't need to overcomplicate it either. It is this simple.
Yes.
How good are you willing to allow yourself to feel regardless of what's happening around you? How responsible are you willing to be for that? That's what this queen wants to know. She's powerful. She's wise. She doesn't screw around. She's made her final decision. There's no question as to which path this queen is walking.
Right.
If you can't say the same for yourself, get to work. Make your decision. Choose to be here. Join us. This is awesome. We want you to have your version of this. To feel so certain, to feel so convicted that there's not a thing anyone could say, there's not an opinion in the world from a person in the world that could sway your absolute knowing of the very thing you have proven to yourself through empirical experience. Empirical, royal, noble, direct personal experience. There's nothing higher. That's why we're alive in these bodies, by the way, so that we can encounter all of this as a living reality, not just as an idea. So we return now to the life of the heart. We recognize that these 4 sets of virtues are breathing. There's the inhalation, the inner movement of the swords, and the exhalation, the outer movement of the wands. Now we inhale again to the life of the heart, and we will exhale a living reality in the diamonds.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good. Now let's draw some subtle connections. Let's tell them about some of the magic that has happened for us today before we conclude. You still feel excited to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So every morning we will pull our virtual oracle spread, which is basically a selection from each of our 4 digital oracles that you find on our website. And our mobile oracle today was one of our declarations that stated...
life is the infinite crystal.
Yes, thank you.
I got you.
Thank you.
I saw those wheels turning. I'm like, she's going to need help.
Life is the infinite crystal. And we always take cues from whatever cards show up in our daily spread, because a lot of the time we know they have deeper messages for us, connections we can make. It's absolutely a delight to follow those breadcrumbs to see what is revealed. And so this was actually a quote from the second angel, the angel of attraction, who we have had a conversation with. So it was easy enough for us to follow that breadcrumb to that angel conversation. And again, I think when, we're talking today about this core reality, that is exactly what the angel of attraction had to share with us in connection with this queen's noble role of enjoyment. Yeah. So I don't know if we want to read I think we should read this excerpt from the conversation. Yeah. So would you like me to do it?
If you would love to, then absolutely yes. Let's read those 3 and then all this. You can skip those 2 for now. Just let it be a seamless flow.
These 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All of the angels are woven. All are connected as one. We are one chord of expression. All serve one general theme. This is the theme of enjoyment. All angels serve the same theme. We work together to activate this basic theme. Life is expressed through enjoyment. Each angel offers a way. 64 facets of one shining crystal, the shimmering sun of your life. Your life expresses the one life. You are a facet of that. Life is the infinite crystal, facets of light without end.
And then it goes on again to repeat. Wow. Life is expressed through enjoyment. each life expresses a way.
Mm-hmm.
You feel that?
That's good.
It's real good.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be clear, this came up in one of our 4 virtual oracles today, which is a randomized delivery of any one of any number of hundreds of messages, right? This is the one that came up. We don't follow every one that comes up to its source.
Mm-hmm.
It's that on some days, like this one, there is a degree of either excitement or intrigue,
curiosity, usually,
that highlights it. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually some version of curiosity, like, dang, I don't even remember making that. Where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, I think it's from that. Who is it from? And we're led unexpectedly, spontaneously, on some special days to follow that particular stream, right? So we saw Life is the Infinite Crystal, and it's literally against like a grayish background. You know, it's like not even, you would overlook it pretty easily, I think, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why today. It just was like, both of us immediately were attracted to it.
But we followed the feeling.
To
That's
the
point.
angel of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we followed the feeling, life of the heart, to the angel of attraction. We were attracted to it for a reason we couldn't explain, and here we were at the angel of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
We were excited by what we might find. The angel of attraction walks the pathway of excitement. And what do we come upon here in this separate conversation? It's our 3rd session, I think, with an angel. At this point, it feels like a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the angel that came right out and told us, hey, we're all going to talk to you. We're all very excited to speak in our own way. But at the end of the day, we're all telling you the same thing in our own way. We all serve one basic theme, and that theme is enjoyment, because life is expressed through enjoyment.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we are reading this with our jaws, dragging the floor, because that's today's noble role. That apparently random delivery of a message that would have been easy to dismiss led us directly to the confirming message we needed in order to just sink our teeth right into what's happening here. There's no getting away from this theme. Mm-hmm. And there's not a day signature we will meet that does not serve this theme. There's not an angel we will meet that will not serve this theme. There's not a frequency you will find on the frequency tables that does not in one way or another connect to this theme. Mm-hmm. It's everywhere. It's just woven through everything the angels have given us. Utterly unavoidable.
Yeah.
Because this is home base. So when we say welcome home, what we mean is enjoy. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so another thing happened as we were doing this. We're following this set of breadcrumbs, having our minds blown when we receive a message on Instagram. Is that where we go next?
Sure.
Okay. So one of our good friends, Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
One of our most avid supporters, truly a real friend. Nicole sends a message about her own world of magical discoveries. And in her description of what's happening for her, she mentions the frequency of the number 19.
Yeah, so she also uses our mobile oracle spread every day. Goes to our website, she pulls her cards, and she says to me that she's gotten the 19 3 days in a row. So, and the fact that she shared that with me is our cue, if so inspired, to follow those breadcrumbs. So I actually told Nicole, you might want to look at our frequency tables for the amplified frequency, which is 190, 19 plus a 0.
These things tend to show up multiple times in a row for us when there's still more to see. Mm-hmm. And so we were excited to encourage Nicole in this case to go and look at the amplified expression of the 19, because we can imagine it might have been easy to forget that that was even an option. Mm-hmm. We would never forget it because we're so connected to how these things work and to the numbers and what they mean and the tables and how they can be used. But all of you are kind of catching up to speed on something we've spent the last year living with. Mm-hmm. So we were excited to recommend that to Nicole. But then, very much, I would say in similar fashion to the previous message from the Oracle, there was a special way in which her mentioning that on this day felt significant. There's no direct reason it would, because we don't see any direct lines of connection between the 19th angel or the 19th prime or this frequency to the soup of frequencies and keynotes and lessons and discoveries in the day. There's nothing overtly connected, but we were excited or curious, both, to look at the 190 ourselves. And right out the gate, I mean, literally the very first entry it says this: beauty is all that there is within you. Beauty is all that there is referring to this magic, this miracle that we are so connected to in this day's signature. And where? In the world around you? Yes, of course, but it specifically says within you. Welcome to the world of the hearts. Beauty is all that there is within you. And it goes on. Choose to see only the highest and best. Boom, seer training. Choosing enjoyment is choosing to live.
Yeah.
Oh, is that all? Life is expressed through enjoyment. So choosing enjoyment is choosing to live. Goes on to say enjoyment is how we give thanks. Does that sound familiar? The prayer of amazement, that is, thank you, I love you. The words prayer of amazement, by the way, are a match to the frequency of 111. Today is the first day of the 11th month, 111.
Yeah.
Everything moves from within is another match to this 190. We're just reading these like, again.
I also really like the home of all 64 angels as one.
Boom.
Again.
That's you.
Yeah.
That's the heart. That's your own inner or core reality, is the home of all 64 angels as one.
And that reminds me too, we've mentioned this before, that the king and the queen are a pair. So even though we're focused on the queen today, we're going to be focused on the king tomorrow. And actually they function as a pair.
Yes.
And what we also noticed, because of today's date, which is one of our favorite numbers, November 1st, so 111, we also wanted to look at that frequency of 111.
Yes.
And that led us to read those frequencies. And the pathway of enjoyment is a 111. That is a frequency match. So it just so happens that the king tomorrow is connected to the angel with that pathway.
The 56th angel.
Yep.
Who was the angel we met just before this angel that we're quoting now.
Yeah.
We met the 56th angel in the second session and the second angel in the third session. So the angel of enrichment and then the angel of attraction, the pathway of enjoyment, the pathway of excitement, in this perfect sequence all the way back then, only to arrive here today to see them so brilliantly unified.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a really cool way to see how completely interwoven and magical all of these connections are.
Yes.
How we can just be led to all of these opportunities for wonder just by following our curiosity, just by following our excitement and enjoying the process.
Did you hear that? Did you hear how simple that is? And not just simple, but lovely, easy, enjoyable, obvious. We think we've got so much work to do. We think we've got so much to fix. And we think this has to be so complicated, or we think it's got to take so long to figure it all out. That is the mind playing tricks on you. And it's not even the mind's fault. That's programming written into your mind that had nothing to do with you, and certainly in no way reflects the capacity of your own mind, outside of the fact that it shows the mind's adaptive nature and willingness to receive ideas. So if you know that particular program isn't working, it's just like a computer. Take out the one game, the one program, and input another. You know, we get to decide which software is moving through the hardware of the mind. A nerdy example, but really think about how simple that is.
Oh, yeah.
In the Forgotten Sense, we talk about different record players. It's like you take the one record off, you put a different record on. It's not difficult. It's going to play whatever you give it. The fact of the matter is these old patterns were given to us, even though they had nothing to do with us, and even though they were frankly ineffective and damaging. No problem, because the hardware itself can never be damaged. Your mind is still fully functional. Your heart is just waiting to burst open, and life is utterly impervious to damage. Nothing's broken. You remove the virus and you replace it with something productive, and you start to build and you start to cultivate an inner reality. How? From the inside out. Why? Because everything moves from within. This goes on to say that another match to 190 was grounded in everything beautiful and true. So when you're asking how do I replace that previous programming with new programming, there's one answer. You become grounded in everything beautiful and true. Recognize that's the soil you wish to draw life from, right? I choose to see the best in all things. There's another answer to the question of how. Do you realize you can literally choose to do that no matter what's happening? Learn to expect perfect outcomes. Another match. How? Learn to expect perfect outcomes. That's how. It just goes on and on and on. And what happens when you do this? You permit your light to shine forth. Why am I saying it that way? Another match to 190. We were led to this frequency, which has no direct connection to the day.
It kind of does, though.
What do you see?
Well, I see. So the 19 is the sun. And what we're seeing here is this connection to the heart is our inner sun.
It is the sun of you.
The sun, the heart, they're the same thing. So what we're being shown here is that the sun of your heart is where it all starts. That is the foundation that you build from. And even this connection to that I made earlier, another frequency match to our favorite frequency of 111 is the star frequency. That is literally our name for the
first personal frequency.
Yes, the first personal frequency within the frequency portal. Which, if it is spelled out, it is I am and your first name. That is literally like the most foundational like mantra that you can build from. I am Lara is the star frequency. The star is the same thing as the sun, is the same thing as your heart. That's where you build from. And this is where it begins. This is the center. This is the starting point, right in the middle.
You begin at the center of you. That's awesome. When I was working Crystal Self years ago, one of my very favorite summaries of one of my very favorite positions remains close to me even to this day. And it's very simple, but it holds this story. It says, I am the sun of my heart. Every one of us can claim that because it's true for every one of us. And that's what you're now describing. This Queen of Hearts, she resides at the center of this kingdom, at the center of you. That light that pours out as a response to her willingness to fulfill that role, it's inevitable. That's the sun. That's the warmth of your unique signature, of your unique presence. Connecting it to the frequency portal could not be more appropriate today. I mean, as our listeners are listening to all of this and their heads are spinning with the excitement, the amazement, the magic of what we've shown, the question that comes immediately after this video closes is, okay, but what do I do now? Where do I go now? How do I take all of this into the next minutes of my day? One answer to that question that I cannot help but recommend to everyone, I don't care if you're watching it today or 10 years from now, one answer is you need to work with your frequency portal. As of right now, there's zero reason why you should not be poring over your own star frequency. Why not awaken that particular sun, the sun within you? The way to do it.
I mean, if you allow yourself to discover what's there at the center of you, which is what the star frequency is communicating, you have arrived. You are on the foundation and permitting yourself to really discover everything that you most love, everything that you enjoy. It is opening the doors wide open to this new world.
Jinx. Absolutely.
And that's exactly, again, we were also led to this conversation that you had with Heliodor today. And in that conversation, Heliodor was saying this exact same thing. You have arrived. Welcome home. You are the shining sun. All of these things that we're talking about are super relevant. Seemingly, we found them in these circuitous ways, but it's all telling us the same thing, that the center is where you start. And the frequency portal is the most fun, really just easy way to access that in the way that we have laid out for you on our website. All of these resources are available at any time. And this is kind of the best way to start working with them the way we do.
Yeah, I would replace the word easy. I would say the most exciting or the most creative. Mm-hmm. But the only way you derive any value from this is by engaging with it.
Right.
It's not easy. What's easy is hiring someone to tell you something about yourself. That's easy. Anyone can do that. And what they're going to receive, no matter how great the person they're speaking to is, even if it were me, it's not the truth about who you are. It is some opinion about who you are or should be. It's not easy. The frequency portal isn't easy. It's exciting and it's real, and it activates a creative engagement within you, which is the very thing, the very source of play that ultimately produces insight, reflection, real life reflection, an actual mirror, an actual new vision of yourself. The frequency portal is so powerful specifically because it is not a magic pill, one size fits all version of easy. That's what makes it interesting. It's easy because it's totally available. It costs next to nothing, and you'll have it immediately to work with as quickly as you say yes. Mm-hmm. It's easy because everything you need in order to make use of it has been laid out and delivered to you free of charge. It's easy because we just spent an hour yesterday describing exactly how to make use of it in all of the same creative ways we do, so that you can plug and play in your own directions and discover all these amazing things about yourself. Yeah, it's easy in those regards, but you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to say yes to it. You're going to have to purchase it. You're going to have to receive it. And then you're going to have to do everything we've done. Get yourself a little journal and pour over these modules. The star frequency, yes, you ought to meet that today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that as clearly as I can. Why in the world would you not want to stare into the light of your own sun right now after today's conversation? But that's just the first of 6 modules, and they build on it. Mm-hmm. That's the ground. They get bigger after that.
Yes.
It is awesome. So, yeah, frequency portal is what we would refer to as a no-brainer. But regardless of whether you go that direction with the day or not, we would love for you to. If we received so many orders that we did nothing but build those today, we would be thrilled. Our hearts would be exploding. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the most exciting thing we could do today.
For sure.
But what we're inviting here is everything we've talked about all along the way. The frequency portal is an example of what we can do with it. But there are many others. This is a bright, bright day. It is the beginning of something massive. And the world that we get to navigate now for the next couple of weeks is the world of the heart. Mm-hmm. What we've done today is we've taken extra time to show you how we permit our attention to follow these magical breadcrumbs. This is our example from this particular day. Mm-hmm. This is happening all the time. It will continue to happen for us all day, and will happen again tomorrow. It will look totally different for you. Mm-hmm. You know, Nicole may not message you. You can, Nicole, if you want, but the fact of the matter is your life is going to speak in its own way to you.
Right.
You will become sensitive to that language.
Right, of enjoyment.
From here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their own language of enjoyment, for sure.
Their own language of enjoyment, their own language of excitement. Mm-hmm. You will learn to recognize those signals. They will differ from ours, but the feeling, the principle, the underlying reality that we utilize to tap that remains the same. You will feel excited by what is calling to you. You will feel good the moment you permit yourself to, regardless of what's happening around you. And that is everything you deserve. In fact, it is your noble role. It is what you get to choose to step into or not, understanding that if you step into it, the light shines. And if you don't, it will not. There's no way around the pathway of enjoyment. This is the one major theme that supports every other discovery. It blew our minds. It remained for some time to be too good to be true, until we realized that it was so good it must be true.
Yeah, it was a no-choice choice.
It was a no-choice choice. So today calls for that final decision.
Yeah.
I think if I know life, if I know how this works, based on my experience, as a result of your having viewed this That choice is going to make itself today one way or another. It's inevitable. These things don't wait around. Once the eyes open, once we recognize something, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
We believe this choice to be a no-choice choice. I can't think of anyone, I can't imagine anyone choosing misery over heaven, over paradise. The choice makes itself, which to me is like cause for celebration.
Yeah.
What are you seeing here?
You just said inevitable, and that was yesterday's frequency.
Yeah.
Matched to 54.
Yeah, so inevitable was a 54, so was windfall, so was rush of yes, and so is winner.
Mm-hmm.
So
winner.
Not so bad. So is you are equipped.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that is flowing into today's frequency. Yes. It's all happening. Man, I mean, we could just go on. There's so much here. You've got the idea. We've used our examples. We hope they've proved useful to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
You know, we're talking in terms of if with regard to this decision, but if you've watched this video up until this point, we already see you. We already know which decision you've made. Make sure both of your feet are on that path. No more vacillation, no more questioning. Allow the full conviction within you to operate now with resolve. Aim true. Mm-hmm. You get to, and everything that comes of that will blow your mind wide open. It's time for a large, large, beautiful life, whatever that looks like for you. We're living our version. You will live yours. Tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, enjoy this Vortex day. Mm-hmm. Enjoy the flavor of this, because this is the beginning of what continues all month.
Yes.
I love this day. I love this month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. I've never looked so forward to a period of time in my entire life.
Me too.
I'm not exaggerating. That's literally true.
Mm-hmm.
I told you earlier that up until this point, with the angels and everything we're living now, it often felt like I was trudging through my days.
Yeah.
I was trying not to feel that way, but the truth is that life felt long.
Yeah.
And fairly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That's all gone. Like, I feel pure excitement, pure readiness to be surprised. I know what's coming. I know that it's good. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So you can know the same, and that's what we're inviting you to do. And that's what we're celebrating in your presence right now. The fact that you're watching this, you're with us. We feel that. We feel you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. Onward. Goodbye for now.
Bye.